There is no such thing as fate, but there is such a thing as Akshan. Some people say I hold a grudge too long, but those people are dead. That was quite satisfying. Consider yourself absolved.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are playing Akshan today. AD carry, known for his super strong early and mid game, but he's also very known for his ability to revive his teammates. Now for his passive, so there are two parts to it. The first part makes it so every single time he auto attacks, then he will also fire one additional auto attack. And if you cancel out this second auto attack, then he will instead get some bonus movement speed. So this is very good for kiting. And then the second part of this passive is similar to press the attack, the keystone, in that it's a 3-hit passive, and once you proc it, it's going to deal bonus damage. And if you hit an enemy champion with it, then you also get a shield. Now this is what makes Akshan really OP, especially in the early game, because this passive does not have a cooldown. There is a cooldown on the shield, but there's no cooldown on the damaging part. So when you run, press the attack, and then have this passive as well, you're gonna have such a strong early game that most champions will not be able to match. And that's why we're able to pick up first blood right here. Akshan is so broken in the early game, guys. It is an early to mid game AD carry where you can really take over the game by yourself. Your Q is the boomerang, that's going to return as well. And if you hit a champion with it, then you also get some bonus movement speed. And this Q right here, the boomerang, actually gives you 2 stacks of the passive if you hit the enemy champion or minions twice, so this is very good for proccing your passive as well. Then you have your E, which is your mobility spell, and that also deals some damage, and it's important to know that your E also procs the PTA. The W ability is what Akshan is known for, also what he's hated for by some. So that's a passive where you mark somebody as scoundrels when they kill your teammates, then they will have a bounty on them, and then if you kill that target, then you're going to revive the teammates that got killed by them. So if they have like a Lux who killed 4 of your team members, and then you kill the Lux, then all your teammates are going to revive instantly. So this is a super OP ability that can easily turn around the games. You can easily turn losing games into winning ones if you manage to use this properly. So it's really important that you do so, and then the active of this part makes it so you go into stealth. And then when you move towards the scoundrel, you get some bonus mana regen, and then you also move faster. Now this is not invisibility, the W, meaning that it has a pretty big detection range. So it's really easy for the enemy champions to see you if you're close. So make sure that you keep your distance. But this ability is actually really OP for roaming as well, because it's camouflage, meaning that you can get past the normal wards. The control wards will detect you, but the normal wards won't. So this is very good for roaming, guys. So you really have to make sure that you abuse this. And your E ability, being mobility as well as damage, it's going to reset upon takedowns. That is what makes you really mobile as well. So as soon as you get a kill, then you can reset that E, and then you can use that to get out with. So it has a lot of uses. You can also max out this ability first because it has so much damage, but people used to do that before, but they nerfed it. But you really have to get used to the range, the swinging range on that E. It can be a bit complicated to get used to at the start, but as you play Akshan, then it becomes a lot simpler. This is pretty much what you want to be doing when you play him in the laning phase, is that you go for short trades where you can proc that passive as well as PTA. That gives you so much burst damage that most champions will not be able to match. Just go for quick trades, and that's how I got first blood early on, is that when people don't respect your damage, this is what's going to happen. Because this is a champion that can trade with almost every single champion in the game, in the early game. It's a short range AD carry, but he has a lot of damage and he also has a lot of mobility. So make sure that you abuse that and really look for those trades in the early game. You want to get leads. It is not a hard scaling champ, he's strongest in the early to mid game. He can still be strong in the later stages, but his main strengths come from the early to mid game. You really want to make sure that you're snowballing somehow, either by picking up kills in the mid lane or you try to roam a lot. Now that you have that ultimate up, so it's similar to a Caitlyn ultimate in that it's going to tag the opponent, but how it works is that you can charge it up, and the longer you charge it up, the more shots you're going to fire. Now what's important to know here is that your ultimate can get body blocked by almost everything, including minions, towers and such. So be careful using like that. So that's like the difference between this and the Caitlyn ultimate. They both give you true sight, meaning that if you use it on somebody and then they go invisible, it is still going to reveal them. But your ultimate can get body blocked by everything. Caitlyn's ultimate can only get body blocked by champions, but yours can get blocked by almost everything. So this is something you typically use when the target is trying to run away, when they're like super low HP and then they try to escape. If the target can be executed by your ultimate, then you're going to see that red indicator on them, similar to like if they're low HP and you're playing Cho'Gath and you have your ultimate up, that red indicator is going to appear, and then you know that it can execute. But do be careful not spamming this ultimate off cooldown. It's mostly meant to execute people, low HP targets trying to escape. So that's like your long range damage. But if they're close to towers or something, then be careful to not use it, because that tower is going to block it out. The tower will still take damage, but it's going to block it out completely. When you roam, guys, make sure that you abuse that W. You don't get to roam all the time, but when you do, use that W because it allows you to get past normal wards. Control wards will detect you, but the normal wards will not. So it's very good for roaming, but also to like surprise your opponent because they cannot see you. So you can like use this to get a really good flank off, or to like get behind them, and that's really good, especially if you are stronger than them. So with the Q max you have some really good wave clear, because your passive works on the minions, as you may already know, and since that Q also deals a lot of damage, that also allows you to push the waves really fast. But E max is also fine. I do prefer the Q max though, but you can do both, and if you don't know what to take, then I recommend trying out both and then see what works the best for you. But Akshan is actually really OP right now. He has been really OP for a long time now, and that's mostly because of his really strong early game. Because he has PTA, the keystone, and then he has a PTA passive as well. And that passive also gives you a shield, so this champ is insane in the early game. But for you to use that W properly, keep in mind that you have to stay nearby walls to stay camouflaged, because if you don't, then it's going to go on cooldown really fast. So either have to stay nearby walls or you can stay in brushes. Because if you stay in brushes, then you don't have to stay nearby walls, because that will also keep you stealthed. For the mythic items, we have a couple options. So the thing is, shield bow is really popular right now, but it is going to get nerfed soon, so I'm going for the Kraken Slayer. That's actually really OP. That gives you the highest damage output possible, that gives you that true damage. And the thing is that because you have that second auto tag on the passive, then you can also proc the Kraken Slayer really fast. You proc the PTA really fast with that passive, and you also proc the Kraken Slayer. So that is some insane amount of damage that you can get if you go for Kraken. But you can also easily go for shield bow if you want to, like if you feel like you need the defensive shield and the sustain, maybe you're playing in a really difficult matchup mid lane, maybe they have a lot of assassins and such, then the shield can really be useful. In that case you can easily go for the shield bow. Go into stealth like this, guys, when you roam, because that allows you to get past the normal wards, and then you can often surprise the opponent because they don't know you're coming. and because it is solo queue, where you play alone, people never respect the roams. Like roaming is like one of the most OP ways to climb in ranked, because people never respect it. So make sure that you roam as much as possible, but also make sure that you set up the waves in advance. You don't want to roam when there's a big wave crashing into a tower, because that means the opponent will easily be able to get the tower plates, and then it's not worth it. So try to shower the waves before you roam. That's going to give you a lot of time. And then you can also use your ultimate while swinging with that E, guys. That really allows you to maneuver around. For example, if they're trying to hide behind minions, because they can body block the ultimate, then you can use that E to like swing around and get past them. Your damage is absolutely ridiculous, especially if you have the Kraken Slayer. Make sure that you abuse that really OP early game. That's absolutely crucial. So just try to pressure the opponent as much as possible. You really want to play aggressive. Also remember that while you're in that W, you get that scoundrel buff. So if that's like a scoundrel on the map, somebody who killed your teammate, then you get a lot of bonus movement speed towards him, but you also regen mana really fast. And then you also get that extra takedown gold, which is also really big actually. You can always get back to the lane using the W, because sometimes the opponent will overextend for the tower plates, and then you can like get behind them or something, and that might actually end up giving you a free kill, or maybe a free summon as well. But always make sure that you're walking nearby walls when you use that W, otherwise it's going to run out. You can see that little circle below your champion that shows the W duration, and the moment you move away from brushes or walls, then it's going to like decay really fast. So you don't have that much time to like get from wall to wall. You can push the waves really fast if you abuse that Q boomerang, so make sure to do that. It's even easier if you max out the Q first. You can see that red indicator appearing right there. That means that you're going to deal enough damage. But even though it shows that, if the opponent gets like a random heal or shield or something, then they will not get executed. So that's important to know. It just shows that if nothing happens, then they will get executed. But they can still get like a shield or something. So don't get baited. Especially not if they have like a healing support, shielding support or something. You can see that damage is absolutely not balanced. And then you can just use that E reset to get out again. So it is a champion that's banned very often in high-elo. Like he has been S tier almost since his release. Actually, because of how much pressure he has in the early game and how good he has at roaming, that's like the perfect combination for solo queue, because it allows you to take over the game already from the early stages of the game. And if you can do that, then you have much higher chances of really snowballing the entire game by yourself. So Akshan is like one of the best champions you can pick up right now in solo queue, and he works both as an AD carry, as a mid laner, and as a top laner. His most popular roles though, mid and top lane, that's where he is at the strongest, but he can also work out as an AD carry in the bot lane. Maxing out that E second, super important. The way you play him in the mid game and such, when the tower's down, you want to be flanking a lot with that W, you want to get behind the squishy targets, because you have a lot of consistent damage, but you also have a lot of burst damage thanks to the press the attack keystone, and you're passive. So you want to get behind the squishy targets and then just burst them down. So it's like playing an AD carry. It's like playing an AD carry that also plays like an assassin. So you have the playstyle of both, and how you play it really depends on the team comp and the state of the game. So you can see, because I killed the Graves, then two of my teammates just revived right there. That's why people really hate playing against him. Because even though they managed to like kill my entire team, as long as I get that kill back from the opponent, then my entire team is going to be revived. So that can easily like turn the entire game around. That's why he's so OP. Also, the thing is about cancelling that second auto attack, guys. You do that with a movement command. It can sound pretty complicated when you just watch a video and you have not played him yet. But when you play him, then you get to see how simple it is. Like, it's a lot easier than what it sounds like. We got the Wit's End here. They do, of course, do have a decent amount of magic damage. Nasus has magic damage. Jax also deals magic damage. And then they also have the locks. But Wit's End is really popular as a second item because it spikes early on and it's pretty cheap. But then you also go into the Ginsu's Rage Blade, and when that happens, that's when you get a lot of damage. Wit's End is really good in general because it gives you a lot of magic resistance as well, attack speed and also damage, while still being cheap. And of course, when you get the Ginsu's Rage Blade, then that stuff gets amplified. So your damage just goes through the roof. That's going to be absolutely insane as soon as you have that Ginsu's. It's like a hyper carry build when you go for the Ginsu's, and then you also have the crit build where you go for stuff like the Infinity Edge. You can also do that. That's going to give you a lot of burst damage. And of course your ultimate, like the damage, also synergizes with crit chance. So you can also go for the full crit build if you want to. But playing Akshan with the Ginsu's and Wit's End feels so good. Like, it feels so insane. Because it allows you to proc like everything faster. So that's why right now what people do the most in high elo is that they go for Ginsu's. We are past the early game. We are like in the mid game right now. And remember, what you want to do is that you want to be flanking. You don't want to go in from the front. You're an AD carry, but you also play like an assassin. So you want to flank. You want to look for the squishy targets. You want to get close. And you burst them down with the auto attack and Qs. And then when they try to run away, you chase them with your E, and then you finish off with the ultimate. You can see that Q boomerang range is absolutely insane, because it can actually continue endlessly as long as there are targets that it can bounce off of. So if they're like endless minions in a lane, then it can just bounce all the way. So it really depends on how many targets it hits. So especially in the lane when you play him in the early game, remember that part, because that really allows you to get some free poke damage off. Because normally their Q range is really short, but when you let it bounce off of minions and such, then it becomes absolutely insane, and that can really allow you to get some really free, nice damage off. You have a lot of damage, but you're not a tank, meaning that if you try to face tank a bruise or something, you're going to get one shot because your build is pretty squishy. Even though we have armor boots and Wit's End, we don't really have HP items, meaning that we're gonna get absolutely blasted if we overextend. So he still has the downsides of being an AD carry, but he's still a little bit tankier though. Still want to be careful. You can kite back and forth if you have a frontline that can peel for you. Otherwise you want to play the flanking style where you wait for people to fight, wait for them to start the fight, and then you just look for the enemy carries. You try to one-shot them. Or you try to kill the target who killed your teammate so you can revive them. Now that revive mechanic only works once. So as soon as you claim one bounty, then the other one is going to expire. So try to take down the target who killed most of your teammates. But this is the big power spike. We have the mythic item, we have the Wit's End, and we have the Ginsu's. That's why you start absolutely destroying everybody. If you watch me auto attack trade with anyone, they're gonna lose like more than half their HP. Your damage is absolutely insane at this point, so you have to start carrying the game, guys. Like, he's very strong in the early to mid game. So you have to abuse that, and it's a champion that can dive like in the backline because your E is going to reset upon takedown. So you can like dive somebody like the carries, and then you can use that E reset to get out again. It's like pretty hard to like maneuver probably because he has those different mechanics, and it is a short ranged AD carry, meaning that whenever you damage somebody, then they will most likely be able to damage you back because of your short range. So being able to position well is a very important key factor. But make sure that you always keep in mind what kind of movement abilities they have, what kind of CC abilities and such, because you really want to try to bait that out before you engage. Because you will not always have a frontline who can engage for you. Sometimes you're going to have a full squishy team, then of course you will not have somebody who can engage. And at that point you will be the one trying to flank. So be certain that when you go for the kill, they don't really have a random flash or movement ability they can use to escape with. Because when you engage, and if you don't get a takedown, then your E is not going to reset, and then people can turn on you and they can kill you. So it's very important that when you engage, then you're able to get that one kill. Just look at this damage. This is absolutely insane damage that you have on this champion as soon as you finish that 3-item power spike. You get the mythic item, you get the Wits End, and you get the Ginsos. As soon as you have that, you're gonna shred absolutely everybody, even those bruisers. Even tanks and such. That's what makes him so OP, like he has a bit of everything and he spikes early on. In this game we are going for some armor pin right now, and that is because they have a pretty tanky team. They have the Graves, they have the Jax, and they have the Nasus. The Nasus is already itemizing defensively, so really important with armor pen. Remember to be flanking, that's absolutely crucial. You don't want to go in from the front unless there's like a guaranteed kill or something that you can easily pick up. Try to flank as much as possible, because that is really what allows you to get that free kill. Bit unfortunate that we lost the dragon right here. I was kind of surprised that he did not smite it because he did have it up. But honestly it is what it is. The most important thing here is that you focus on yourself, really learn the limits of your champion. And also Akshan is a very versatile champ. Like if you want to one trick him, then that's actually really good because he works in 3 different lanes. So even if you don't get your main role, you can still play him in the secondary role. And something a lot of people don't know is that Q gives you vision as well. So if you don't have vision of an area, then you can use that to like get some really easy vision down. We took down the Lux, so that means that Fiddlesticks is going to revive because she killed the Fiddlesticks. So that's the really OP part about Akshan. This is really the stuff that tells people. This passive is even more OP the later on the game goes, because the respawn timers will be higher. So even if the enemy team works really hard to take down like your entire team, as long as you get that one kill on the person who killed your teammates, then your entire team is going to be revived, while that one player is going to wait such a long time. So the further the game extends, the more OP that passive W passive is. And just like the damage you get to see on the Akshan at this point in the game. But do remember that you play him like an assassin, but also as an AD carry. Positioning is very important, and you're also very squishy, so when you flank, really make sure that you can actually fight that champion. You do have a lot of burst damage, so it should be no problems against mages, but you have to watch out when it's assassins. You can see that ultimate used as a finisher. That's how you want to use it. When a low HP target is trying to run away, that's when you can use that ult to finish them off, and if that person killed your teammates, then they will also be back. But this was how to play Akshan. Of course, I hope this was helpful. As always, thanks for watching. and see y'all in the next one.